you live with more passion, love with more purpose, and lead an overcoming life. Today, I have Jenn Gotzon, who has been acting since she was 15 years old. She's an Emmy winner. She's on billboards in China as I think that's so beautiful. Your face is across China on billboards. And really,
Meow.
I just got to see your movie too that you've done, Jen. I got to see The Farmer and the Belle over the weekend, and I'm excited about that because that movie is right on Amazon. So if you're a Prime Video person, you're able to see Jen just by a click of a button. So welcome, Jenn Gotzon. Glad
Thank you,
you're here.
Sue. It's so good to be here. Your voice is so soothing and relaxing. I feel like a bubble bath just talking to you.
There is the ministry of, just God's healing even through voice. And that's
Mm.
been our focus on Healing Rain is how God heals us body, mind,
Oh,
soul, and
yeah.
spirit. And I know if you've lived any amount of life, there's pain and suffering that we go through, and yet God
Mm.
heals us. And so what was
Yeah.
one of those places in your life that was just really painful for you?
Mm. Well, I think it's interesting you bring up the farmer and the bell. I think the main message that we communicated through that is to destroy the lie that we as women, especially me, I struggled with this. And then I learned 90% of the female population does is that we hear these lies in our mind when we look into the mirror or we enter a room is that, we're not pretty enough. Um, we struggle with worth. We may feel overweight when we compare ourselves to someone else. And, you're trying to be something that God didn't create us to be. And those were lies that started to brew very deep inside my soul wounds that entered when I was younger. And those lies just ripped through my body during the end of a very, very, very difficult relationship. I was married for about 8 years, and that marriage ended when my ex said that he was no longer in love with me and he was happier when I'm not around. And for the
Wow.
last portion of the marriage, there was no attraction there. And so I felt very ugly. And my physical body, I felt, I was struggling with. And then also as an actor, you have to feel like you fit into a certain mold. And so that was the pain. And I went through a very, very cool journey with Jesus through visualization based on scripture. And then I would take this visualization and scriptural work and I would put it up in almost an acting exercise where you're activating your imagination and your emotions, taking out that pain, those lies, and almost as if you're ripping them out of your soul and you're giving them to Jesus in Jesus's hand. And then Jesus takes that lie. If I'm not worthy enough, I'm overweight. Takes that lie, and and then we breathe in his gospel truths. No, my body and soul are marvelously made, as it tells us in Psalms. God does have plans to prosper me and not to harm me. He's called me to use whatever gift I've received to serve him, and let me grasp how wide, high, long, and deep his love is for me. And those are the inscriptions that, if we look at Romans, to be transformed by the renewing of our mind, I engraved in onto this bracelet that you see in the movie The Farmer and the Belle that my character loses. But they all have these scriptural truths. And there's a heart that dangles and it falls into the palm of your hand. And when you open your heart, and that's something that I had to do because my heart was hardened, the heart says, open my heart. And on the back, it's a prayer. When we open our heart and see Jesus, help me grasp how wide, high, long, and deep your love is for me. And if we're gaining our love from Jesus, we end up becoming an overcomer of that pain and those lies because we are actively being renewed by our mind. And so that was the pains I struggled with, the journey I went through. And that journey took me, I would say, maybe about a good 4 years. Right after the divorce, I went through a fast. A friend encouraged me to go through on a fast. And then all summer long, I literally spent about 6 to 8 hours in a prayer area working through each lie, each struggle, each pain. And then I went through therapy with psychologists. Then I met Greg and Erin Smalley, Focus on the Family psychologists. And at that time, God started to brew in my heart how I was able to find freedom from these lies that I then wanted to be able to start to minister and to help many, 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 many other women and girls and teens, who also look in the mirror or
Yeah.
enter a room or look at a billboard and say, gosh, how can I look like that? Or social media, which we see
Right.
everywhere. You post a photo and you're like, I'm not getting enough likes. People aren't commenting. And that's
Yeah,
garbage. Our
it
value's not
really
in it.
is. Yeah. And you think about even in the modeling career, even you, when you're taking a picture and it's on a billboard, that's an image of you, but it's not
Yeah.
you.
Mm-mm.
And I love in the film how there's several times where a character will say, beauty comes from the heart. And it made me think of I had four gorgeous daughters before we adopted our two sons, and they were beautiful, beautiful blondies, and they were just gorgeous. And I can't, so many times, we talked about that inner beauty and where beauty
Yeah.
comes from. And I love the fact that there's a bracelet too, that there's a reminder that goes with the
Yeah.
story. And also a book. I love the book. You want to
Oh,
hold that up? Do you want to hold the kids'
sure
book up?
thing. Sure thing.
I love the book. And, these are resources for parents that I'm always thinking about. Beautiful Mabel, and, how Mabel didn't feel beautiful. I love this story.
Yeah.
And your artist, who was the artist for this?
Yeah. Her name is Sarah Joe Floyd. And this is actually one of her favorite images. Little Mabel is not pretty, plump, or productive, but she has a kind heart, and she's invited to Hen House, which is like a Yale, and that's their motto. You have to be pretty, plump, and productive. But she ends up transforming the school by kindness. And she starts serving others with her gifts and being kind. And as a result, all the other chicks learn about kindness. And they end up changing their motto from pretty, plump, and productive to being always kind. And Mike Naraki, who's the co-creator of VeggieTales, he wrote this, and Sarah Joe Floyd illustrated it. And what's special about Sarah Joe, if you're on Instagram, she uses Briarton Farm as at Briarton Farm as her area to minister. And she lives on a farm. And her story, Sue, she had a cleft lip when she was a baby and growing up, and she was bullied in school, and she felt so horrible about her appearance. And she's overcome that journey through her beautiful family, her wonderful husband. And when our pastor's wife suggested her as an artist, and I learned this and I saw her on the farm, she took her emotion of how she can identify with Mabel, and she illustrated it through these extraordinary photos, not photos, but
Mm.
illustrations. They're all hand painted by watercolor. Yeah,
It's
it's
beautiful.
special.
You
Yeah,
know,
if they're available. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
and it's available online on Amazon,
Yeah,
anywhere.
it's on our website. That's the most
Okay.
effective for our ministry, the farmerandthebell.net. And then you go to the shop page. But if you have Amazon, it's on Amazon. It's also in Christian retail. So it's everywhere. But we are just a small ma pa. Almost think of it almost like a step above. I don't know if it's a step above. That's the wrong words. We're like an Etsy shop. We took products that were commercially relevant with biblical tools and psychological values integrated into the movie, so we as an audience can interact for that growth and healing. And then we've manufactured those products, the bracelets selling on QVC, the two books. We have a devotional that talks through that those inscriptions, and it's written by Michelle Cox, who's the co-writer for Hallmark's devotional When God Calls the Heart with Brian Bird. And so on our website, it just pours into our ministry so we could continue to build the next line of products, which is about having a fulfilling marriage, which is the farmer and the bell too, which is the shirt I'm wearing.
Oh, that's exciting. Well, talk a little bit about that journey of, that rejection and then finding your
Mm,
forever love. And I have talked and prayed with many, many women going through divorce, and the common theme is I never got married to get divorced. I didn't expect this. I didn't plan this.
yeah,
This is definitely plan B, and for many women, there's a long stretch of time before they find another, or
yeah,
some remain single the rest of their lives. But divorce has been just something that's so difficult. And it's interesting when you're sharing it. I do think, your body image can come into that and how you feel about it in terms of being rejected physically.
yeah,
And so, what was the journey of finding your forever love?
yeah. Sue, thank you for asking, and you know, just getting real and transparent for anyone who has gone through divorce or is in the throes of it right now. The pain is excruciating. The rejection goes down to the soul. Uh, when I came, when the divorce happened, I was at my mom's house in Pennsylvania with my sisters for her she was getting married, and my ex-husband stopped calling, he stopped emailing, he stopped communicating, and I thought that he was ill. And I remember it was Mother's Day weekend, and I finally got a hold of him, and I remember sending him an email saying, "I'm not sure what I did wrong, but if please let me know so I'm able to address it, to grow, to help me understand what's wrong." And he finally got the courage on the phone, and he said, "Jen, I realized that I've been doing a lot of thinking, and I am happier when you're not around, and I want a divorce." And I remember obviously being rocked by that. And then those words haunted me, because if he wasn't happy with me, then I must be such a horrible person to just be around in general. And when I went on that fast, Jesus said to me, he said, "But I'm happy when you're with me. I'm happy when you spend time with me." And
Yeah.
then Jesus told me, he goes, "I want you to take your wedding ring off your finger, and I want you to put on another ring. And I want that ring to represent me, that you are my bride." And so I put that ring on. And I know we're off topic about attraction,
That's okay.
but when I met my husband and when he married me, he gave me a new ring. Now I'm crying.
It's okay.
He gave me a new ring, and that ring has 3 diamonds on it. And the top diamond, he says, this is Jesus. So your ring that you're taking off, I'm replacing it with Jesus. And this is me, and this is you. And together we're in God's covenant. And then Jim said, I will never leave you. And I'm committed forever. And and so that was a lie that I struggled with for a long time. And so the pain was deep. And when I met Jim, we were working on a movie. I work regularly as an actress in Christian movies. I play often the main character. And so you're on set for the entire time of the show. And Jim's character, he was playing the bad guy. I was playing the good woman. And he was the antagonist. I was the protagonist. Needed to have a relationship on screen. But my heart was so hardened and so hurt and so pained by the divorce that I couldn't connect to a frog. I couldn't connect to a rock. I was broken so much inside. And so when we started to work together, you have lines and you have to look at each other across the camera, and you have to say these lines, and you have to feel feelings to make it look believable that you are in a relationship. And so I said, I need to get to know Jim, because I can't even do my job because of the pain I'm in. And we went for an afternoon together, Sue, at Tybee Island in Georgia. And we walked around the beach area. And and then finally I did something that I've never done before. I dropped my guard and I looked at Jim, and I got loopy, and I couldn't stop laughing because I got so attracted to him, because I dropped all those guards and those boundaries and those blocks. And I looked at him and I saw his eyes and his smile and his humor. And I literally was rolling on the sand laughing like a little child. And I felt free for the first time in a while because of the pain. And that pain was in my marriage, my ex-marriage, for at least, I would say, 6 years.
Wow.
And and so to connect to someone that I have never connected before in a while, the attraction was like a power zone. And we needed to guard against that because the attraction was so strong. And that's why his pastor said, you need to focus on the friendship. And when the cameras were rolling after we had that experience, the the director yells action, and I turn into the scene and I'm seeing Jim, and the light is hitting him and his eyes are glowing and he looks like this radiant, gorgeous human vessel. And I look at him and I couldn't remember any of my lines. I literally was caught on camera swooning this man. And I'm like, me as an actor, I never cut, I never stopped the scene. I will figure a way in and out. And I was like, okay, all right, okay. And I finally got the dialogue out of my mouth. And then the director yelled, "Cut," at the end of the scene. And I was like, I can't believe the neurons in my head just shot off so strong that I couldn't grasp how to get back in. And it was incredible, but it was also dangerous in the beginnings of our relationship, because the flesh was really powerful, and putting our flesh at bay was quite a challenge. It was quite a challenge. And so when we focused on getting to know each other in that friendship, it actually just strengthened the attraction.
Yeah.
So we really worked hard on that, and we failed. We lost our grips sometimes, and then we would regroup together through prayer and put up more boundaries to make sure we're not going off of track. And then I saw a movie that I was in. We were at a premiere called Princess Cut, and that movie was about purity, and it allowed Jim and I to put up new vows together. And so when we got married, the intimacy of on our wedding night was so special because of the gift that we gave each other in from after watching Princess Cut and in the relationship we had. And so it's, yeah. So when you ask about attraction, that would be my story.
Yeah. Well, and praise God that He's put all those hormones in us, and that He said it's better to be together, that it's not
Yeah.
good to be alone, and what a joy that He brought you guys together, and also that you had the heart, because in when you are in the modeling career or when you're in the acting career, there's so many things that can be distractions, and making Jesus Christ the center. I'm sure that's been a fight, you know, to just continue to make Jesus the central part of your relationship. And, um, but
you know, it's
I see that
it's
transformation that's happened.
that's special. That's special in acting and in modeling. The actual career or the work, like let's just say you're on set working. Gosh, Jesus is he is so real, prominent. I don't know how to act. I don't know how to do my job without Jesus. I honestly don't. If someone told me I couldn't pray or have a prayer team, I I don't I would not have confidence in the work.
Yeah, yeah, the strength, and I'm so grateful too for the strides that Christian acting has taken in the last decade in particular. I
Amen.
mean, there's just great strides that are being made, and thank you for being a pioneer in that. Thank you for stepping into the mess of Hollywood and with Jesus, leading you through it. I mean, it really does make a difference, and I'm really grateful for all the Christians that have stepped into acting and have felt it be a call, and have stepped into this area that the enemy just loves to use, and have used it to shine the light on Jesus. And so thank you for your pioneering work in that. That's not
Oh,
easy, you know.
that's so sweet.
Well, what has it been like for you now to be a mother? Because you've been an actress and your life, I'm sure, has been changed because now you're a mommy. So talk about what that's been like for you.
Oh, I just am in love with our little boy. He's now 8.5 months. Um, but for a new mama, I have been told by everyone saying that it goes by so quick. Every person I speak to, it goes by so quick. And so I've forced myself to say, I need to be present. So when I'm nursing him and I'm still nursing him, I'm present. My mind goes, oh, let me get my phone. Let me check this email. Let me respond. And then I feel a check in my spirit saying, no, that email will be there. You're only nursing him for, a short period of time. Be present with him. And I think those moments in watching him climb and start to,
Mm.
discover things and
Oh, yes. Oh, it's so
oh,
wonderful, isn't it?
I just love it.
You won't be able to imagine this, but having grandchildren's even better. I mean, it's
No
so
way.
wonderful because you have been able to raise a child to adulthood. And then if they make a good choice, which my daughters have made good choices of spouses, and then they love Jesus, and then they raise their children to love Jesus. I mean, it's like joy multiplied, because your
Oh,
joy
wow.
is not only in the newborn child or the toddler, but it's in your daughter or your
Oh,
son-in-law and the choices that they're making. And I mean, I'm just so grateful for what God's done in my children's lives. And even the times that you do make mistakes, it's if you point them to Jesus, they're going to be able to learn from the perfect Father,
that's
and
beautiful.
lean into the perfect Father. And so it's,
I love that your daughters are like that. That's so
oh,
special. It's so
yeah,
special to see God's
they're
light in their life.
exceptional. Well, thanks so much for sharing your story. It's been fun to go behind the scenes and just see how God's been working in your heart these many years, and He's been your healer. So thanks
Amen.
so much for sharing your journey, and we're excited to continue in that journey as we watch the next movies that come out. So thanks again.
Thank
Blessings.
you. So thank you for chatting. Much love to you and God bless you.